really overwhelming, I have to say. I really had an enjoyable time. I hope all of us did, actually. So, what's the plan? Half hour of interaction, reflection, some exercises, thinking a bit of our future agenda, and then we will still end ahead of schedule. So that's a promise I will make to you. I am waiting for Wijsky to return, but we can already have a bit of, I can already tell a bit what I would like to do. Look a bit on what we have collected here on the washing line, so actually taking our complexity clothes of it to see what we have produced. Definitely not coming up with a comprehensive summary because that's simply impossible and also not fun. But I will refresh your mind a bit of all the aspects that we have discussed and that were presented over the days. And then reflect a bit on the question where we started with, to act in co-evolution within an ever-evolving world of unexpected and undefined becoming. Did we indeed make some progress on that? And then looking ahead, also asking your input on what you particularly liked about these three days in the way how it's organized. And also if you have suggestions for the next meetings, what we can improve. So that's more or less the agenda for the next, let's say 30-40 minutes. So there we go. First having a look at this beautiful piece of art or installation. What is very clear if you quickly browse to the different parts, there are many more here but I already collected some, is that there was a lot of people that said I learned something across different fields, you know. I learned about this co-evolution in water management and I related to my practice of gaming, for example. It's just an example. So that's something I think is really intriguing and also I think a compliment to us in the sense that we are an interdisciplinary group. Also, some wrote, I really find a way in to understand a bit more about what this complexity thinking is about, what concepts are related to it, how I can actually relate them to my own practice. But then, and that's the other part, what should we discuss more, or what should we actually explore further? Then you also see maybe also some worries a bit, like okay, we should be sincere and true to our foundations, relate back to what complexity thinking really is about, if you can say so. It's also emerging and evolving, I would say, but what are our foundations? Can we do some research on the spot together, picking up projects, working with a collective framework, all doing the interpretations, bringing the conversations more closely together. And also research methods are mentioned. The co-evolution development of spatial elements and patterns. And there was one more I wanted to mention. Anyway. No, cannot find it anymore. Smart. What I will do is I will take a picture of all of them as a kind of collective minutes, as a kind of collective memory also to build this and to further strengthen this future agenda. So really helpful this input, and thank you for putting them up. But there was one more thing, and that was about collective products. And there were some really good ideas. And maybe you already built little coalitions yourself, but I will just mention them, and I want to ask to raise your hand if you are interested to learn more about this initiative or want to link into it. So that those that proposed it, please have an idea of whom to approach. Yeah? There we go. Preparing teaching materials, or maybe a website on complexity and planning. I don't know who mentioned that, Paolo? please raise your hand, that we can at least... Which idea is this? From whom?
It's mine.
Okay, so you have partners here. Jenny, Paolo, Sharon.
Yeah.
Ask, okay.
It's about teaching methods.
Yeah.
Okay, definitely. I mean, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There was another one on teaching methods, but I put that together. Identifying exactly what co-evolving. Identify exactly what is co-evolution and which are the conditions defining common elements for a case study analysis.
Sorry for my right.
It's fine. I mean, mine is way worse. Mine is way worse. But will this be a solo project or will this be a team project? Who is willing to team up with Sophia? Is there already somebody convinced? Identifying what co-evolution is exactly is about and which conditions are influencing it to build a common framework, I think, for case study analysis. And I think some linkages can be made throughout the presentations if you look at the different case studies. Anyway, I think you have still some mission work to do. Yeah? We know where to find you. Editorial of strategies and tactics in dealing with complexity.
That was mine.
Okay, that's your area.
Yes.
Okay. An editorial, book editorial on strategies and tactics in dealing with complexity. Yeah? 1, 2, 3, Barbara, Sharon.
Okay.
Okay, that's half the book is already filled. That's good. Okay, and then also one of myself actually, special issue on urban coding / condition-based planning. I'm setting it up together with Moroni, who's willing to join.
But say it again now, because I was writing still on the...
Special issue on urban codes or condition-based planning. We still have to debate about that. That's it.
I'll be your reviewer.
You will be the review. Okay.
I'll just critically reflect.
Then you also...
I can't write it.
Okay, so that's already great. So we can actually look back within a year from now and see where these projects are and how they evolved. Before having a brief refreshing of what we have discussed, there's one practical thing I think we have to clarify, is that your presentations, and also mine, have been recorded. And we don't want to make you nervous about this in advance, but of course we are not going to share or put this online if you don't want it. So if you have presented and you prefer that the video is deleted, just send an email to...
Yeah, but I think I'm going to write an email to all the participants because half of the group already, so yeah. I will write an email, and if you object, then please answer us before then that moment.
Is it possible to see the video?
Yeah.
We have to figure out, it will be...
Then we get responses, take minutes 2 and 3 out. Some music under it. Okay. Nice, we'll send an email.
Sorry, are they going to be put in YouTube or in
on the website, on our website.
Ah, okay.
Yeah?
And you can't find these on YouTube. And when you Google them, or when you Google, you won't automatically end up with these videos.
Okay.
So they can't
How about the
get...
presentation, the slides?
Yeah. The slides will all be on the website.
Is it possible to send another set because I don't have rights to...
Okay, sure. So then send me an email if you want to edit your slides.
Well, what website are you ready for them?
Yes.
Age of Complexity Plan. Okay, let's move on. So, just to refresh your mind, where did we start? We started with an introduction on Ghent, which is actually an excellent place to study complexity. Complex governance, rebellion character, and we can now add to that it has been the center of planning and complexity for 3 days. So
that's what I'm saying.
Another reason to go to Ghent. And then Philip de Rijke was commenting, you know, what is it really offering? Is it really offering something new? And of course, I was completely convinced again during the last days that it really has something to offer. So, how to browse through these 18 presentations or even more, I think I linked to the introduction of the conference and also the sentence you were using from Isabel Stengers, that complexity theory or complexity science is an experimental science that helps to think, feel, imagine, and act in our dynamic world. So and then I will come back to you guys and ask whether the question that you raised in the beginning, to act in a co-evolving world of undefined becoming, does it really help you, the things that you have heard during this meeting, in getting making a next step in that? So let's start with the word think. For me, complexity sciences allows us to rethink the world and becoming more sensitive of co-evolutionary dynamics, non-linear change, self-organization, or as Robert put it, it's like walking in a maze with the walls changing. And I think Maisa showed us that particular concepts can help us to detect particular patterns. In her case, spatial patterns emerging from the self-organizing organization in particular urban codes. And also Yara and Safan showed that in the Jerusalem case, bringing the concept of epigenetics in highlighting how planning rules and regulations can facilitate urban configurations, but also how these can be altered due to the role of mediators. And in a similar way, when presenting the transformation of Beijing and the regeneration of the Hutong area, various ways of touristification, and how actually the concept of co-evolution can help us to see how these locally grounded shops relate to these international branches. And I think also, Paolo, you used the concept of co-evolution in this process of formalization of the informal settlements, and how the concepts can help us to see how planners and communities relate over time, embedded in a shifting political landscape. And the same could be said for the presentation of Suzanne. Yeah, there you go. You were talking about these click moments, tracing the co-evolutionary governance in this Oosterweel project. So these are particular concepts that were picked and provided us with a particular set of glasses to look at these processes. Others use complexity more as a meta framework, I would say, like Wim did, comparing strategic spatial planning with transition management. What are the differences, what are the commonalities, and what can they learn from each other? But also, as you did, Barbara, socio-ecological system approach, coming from resilience. How is it helping to understand flooding issues in Flanders? And what was quite striking, I think it's seen as a real problem, but still the institutional setting is leading to a lock-in situation. Okay, so to rethink. Well, then the second notion, to feel. How did it actually, these last 3 days, help us to feel? I think Robert was a very lively keynote, and his examples of the hospital and child abuse really made me feel how complicated certain situations can be. And I think that was also with the excursions, the tensions that were exposed there. Then Sharon Moore's presentation, actually, together with the students, show that tools can assist citizens to feel, experiment, and also manipulate how the urban fabric evolves by improving the sensitivity of that very same city with its sensors. And Christina, of course, also your talk was, I think, a clear example on how games can help to experience and feel emergent social rules and norms. So, halfway, making the step to imagination. And I think the most clear example, of course, is Jenny's talk. Really impressive on how our evolution towards cyborgs will extend our senses. And what then is knowledge? What knowledge is about? What enables us to act in that world? And what will be the effects on city? Gert, I would say, also kind of imagination framework still on Okay, how can we grasp this transformative change in social systems? Nurit, actually reconsidering the international setup, institutional setup of planning systems, enabling us to put urban codes as the base for planning, with a planning judge facilitating that. And maybe also Sophia, proposing or imagining this third epistemic tradition within complexity, bridging the quantitative with the qualitative. And I think, Angela, you really nicely linked into that by sharing your approach on detecting these emerging patterns in the narrative database, as you called it, or at least how I understood it.
And it's also a statistical database.
Also, okay. I saw a lot of narratives.
Yeah, no, I've discussed it.
The final word, and then I come to you, Wijska, after mentioning some aspects here. To act. How does it help us to act? The basic condition was highlighted by Robert, I think. Have a positive view on human capacity. And that's really a crucial combination if you also work with complexity. Otherwise, you might become rather pessimistic. And Hannes convinced that we are all able to deal with this complexity because we return with our friends from holidays. That was a relief to me as well. Selling uncertainty and developing reflexive knowledge-based policy making was Robert leaving us with. And then Sharon came with how complex science leadership theory can allow us to see what conditions can should be secured in solving food problems. And we learned from the Jerusalem case, but also from the living lab story of Robin, what experimenting can do and how different setups create also different spin-offs of these experiments. And then finally I also added something on these different kinds of conditions that can create possibility spaces for these configurations to arise. So, back to the question of you, of course, we are leaving, within 20 minutes we are gone.
I'm just going to stay.
But we hope that there is a kind of, that we leave something behind, maybe not physically, but also in your mind ideas on, indeed, does it help us, this idea of co-evolution, so I'm also Dutch. Co-evolving worlds, and the concept complexity is providing us with acting in this world.
Yeah. Well, I've been, of course, thinking about that throughout the conference, and I have two thoughts about that. The first one also relates to the proposal that I wrote down, editorial about strategies and tactics. Before the conference, I was thinking we should do an editorial about skills and capacities of planners in dealing with complexity or acting in an co-evolving world, undefined becoming. And I've been hearing throughout the presentations, I've been hearing a lot of very interesting things about roles and techniques and ideas and metaphors. And I really think we are approaching or touching upon the skills and abilities, but I leave with a feeling that we have not really grasped them. So therefore the idea of an editorial somehow changed in my mind, and I think maybe a bit, or maybe it's right now we are talking about strategies and tactics to deal with this complexity. Maybe we should elaborate that a little bit further first before we can actually move into okay, and then what abilities and skills do we need? So that's like a future ambition still.
Yeah.
And then the second thought was that it's more a bit of a critical reflection to the conference. But I think about half a year ago, I visited a conference together with Wart about the Complex System Society, I think it was called, and I felt a little bit in the House of the Lion, can you say that in English? Hole of the Lion? Hole from the Leo? The Lion's Den, yeah. The Lion's Den, because it was full of modelers presenting their complex. Yeah, you were there too. And it was super interesting, but everyone was applying complexity thinking to their models and actual situation. And actually no one was questioning why they were actually doing that.
Yes.
And Bart and I had a presentation about some philosophical concepts, and everybody was there, was like, oh, that's been a long time ago, we need this. So that was very, and somehow I feel that this group started very theoretical, we've moved into more empirical research, we're now moving towards what can we actually do. And I somehow feel that there is, I really like this progression, but I also feel there's maybe a bit of a danger that we are falling into too much application. So apart from studying further what skills and abilities do we need, I would really like to encourage to also sometimes, so in some way, take back on our philosophical and theoretical roots a little bit, because I don't think we should be aware that we don't lose them. So those were two thoughts that I had and that I take home, and yeah.
Okay.
Let's see what happens.
Two very fair reflections. I'm not going to open the debate again. But what I will do is I will circulate this post-its, and I really would appreciate if you take 1 minute to write down on one post-it something you think we should really keep doing or organizing like we do it right now, and maybe a suggestion for improvement. It can be content-wise on the agenda. It can also be organizational-wise on how this is organized. And then I will ask one or two of you to maybe share that. So just pick some up, and also, well, that would be really helpful.
Oh, sorry.
So take 2 minutes for yourself. And provide us with a bit of input.
Mijn pen is op. Je hebt het met mij gepakt.
I agree with you.
You cannot escape.
Mag ik jou? Oké. Ik zal heel snel zijn. Zijn er nog, does anyone have any post-its left? Yes.
so much. I'll ask two persons to maybe share their thoughts, and on the other posters, if you can stick them on the table there in front, and I can collect them, take them home, and make notes of it. Also for the future organizing portion. Future organizing. Or organizing of the upcoming meetings. Susanne, you're still writing. So that's a good reason to ask you. What did you like about this conference and what can be improved? You can be very bold.
I have never been attending this conference, so I was overwhelmed by the engagement of all people here, because like in the ASOP where 200 people are, it's just presenting and then free writing a little bit. Here it's really engaged, and the level of questions asked, and it really asked very much of me, but it's very inspiring. I thought the organization was very good, also the programming and the workshop. It was a case in my own city, I live here, and I didn't know it was such a project, or it was on the agenda, so it's also very interesting for me, so I hope I see what's gonna happen there. And then I was writing something that, because we're so many and we're with so many different backgrounds, and also connecting to some cases, I was wondering if maybe we could do something with cases that are comparable or just different, and we could connect them to each other, maybe, so for in the future.
Okay.
Sure.
That's a really nice idea. Thank you so much for sharing that. Danny?
Yeah, I one positive, one little bit of negative thing. I positive side, I think everything has been great, organization, nothing to complain. I think this is a great group. This is one of the greatest group I've ever been, because everybody's so nice and so kind of supporting, and still you can criticize things and really like debate. I think the atmosphere is always very, very good. The negative side is congratulations on your panel. Can you think about that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was very, very visible.
On your panel.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
You know that I asked 3 feminine keynotes, and they all rejected because they were completely overasked.
Oh.
So that's
You should ask me.
yeah. No, but I asked the keynotes. I mean, the
Yeah.
keynotes, yeah.
Yeah. That's a very valid point.
Yeah.
So thank
Yeah.
you for bringing that
You're
up.
absolutely
There are rarely any men left.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yes. Like points on that.
Well, this is very valuable feedback. Sorry. Yeah, I'm just going to ask you to put it so make sure it's clear enough so we can interpret it, and put it on the table, then we can make notes of it and try to integrate it into the next meeting. And of course, then you are very curious where will that next meeting be, and actually we can announce 2 follow-up meetings. Yeah, it will be a busy year. It will be a busy year. Within a year, probably. One is coming up. Actually, we invite you to come to Groningen because we have, a window of opportunity, to put it that way. Greg and 2 colleagues are writing a handbook on planning and complexity, and that allows us also to invite authors to the book. And I think among them there are some very interesting speakers and scholars that would be also supportive in the debate we have. And next to that, also the ASOP Young Academics are organizing a conference, Navigating Change. And my plan is absolutely not to integrate them all, because then we lose exactly what Susanne is highlighting. The informality, but also the cozy setting of our group that brings us lots of good. but a kind of satellite structure where we can gain from the overall complexity week. I think we will have more or less in Groningen, and also contribute a bit ourselves, of course, by linking in things together. That will be in April 2018. Exact dates still have to be decided upon. Later is better. It's warm, yeah. Absolutely.
Well, okay, then our next meeting will be in Australia.
Exactly. 2019 Australia. And then, Nurit told me just a few minutes ago that we are very much welcome also in Israel. I don't know where exactly yet. Maybe autumn 2018.
Not there.
Not there. Okay. No. Yeah, exactly.
They can't come.
It was the first picture that came up, googling Israel. So, I don't know, is there a location already, or is that a bit early?
We'll be in Belshaka.
Okay.
Where the university is located.
Yeah.
I was so excited I stopped listening. Was there a month that was mentioned?
Well, we discussed autumn of 2018, but I mean, we just agreed upon it.
Yeah, no. It's not cold. Yeah. October or November is really very good weather.
Yeah. Well, that's absolutely fantastic. Groningen and I cannot pronounce the name. Sheva?
Beersheba.
Sheva.
Beersheba.
Anyway, first, finally, I have to thank two ladies here. We had absolutely a marvelous time. Very, very carefully organized, but still also the relaxedness and the informality of how we like to work. So thank you so much. And I brought two books, one about the city and food, and one about how the city came to Mr. Sun. It's about rapid urbanization in China. I love them both. You can pick one and swap, or I don't know. But what would be a nice idea is, I think, after you unwrap them, that we circulate them and write our names in it. And thank you so much.
I also want to say a few words. First, I want to say a few words to Barbara, because I think a little bit more than a year ago I was in Bamberg, and at the time I had not even signed my contract in Ghent yet, but I knew that it was probably going to work out. And then I texted Luc during the conference, can we invite them to Ghent? And he thought, oh yeah, sure. So I was like, oh, we're gonna do it in Ghent. And like I said, I wasn't even officially a colleague yet. And I also had no idea what you all had to do when you organize a conference. I also had no idea that I would be away for 4 months on maternity leave. And I didn't know how important local knowledge is to organize a conference. So then I came to Ghent. And I started organizing this workshop, and at a certain point Barbara came in, and she took over also when I was on a leave. And without her, it would not have happened, really. It would not have happened. So I want to thank especially Barbara, and I think you have to choose first which book you like most, because I really owe you a lot. I also hope you like it. Do you like the content and that it somehow dragged you into the group as well? But,
Yeah, maybe I can add a few words. This was my first time in this group. I really enjoyed it. I've been working a bit with complexity, but I found out that there's a lot more to learn and that there's a lot more inspiring stuff, and I have you to thank for that. So I hope to come back and meet you all again.
I also want to say thanks to Luc. He's not there anymore, but he of course made it financially possible as well. And there's also someone else I would like to thank who's not here, but I have to mention him. And he's Jurgen, he's one of our staff members. and he's been throughout 3 days. He's been behind the scenes, but he's been doing a lot that we forgot about doing in due course. So without him, for instance, there wouldn't have been coffee, and there wouldn't have been, you know, all the things. So I want to also, although they're absent, I want to give an applause to both Luc and Jurgen, because they've made it possible as well. Thanks to you and all your presentations, and also the respondents and the chairmen, and I think, yeah, everybody collaborated, and I really, really enjoyed it, and look forward to the next time. So applause to yours.
Okay, and grab the books, then we can sign them,
Yep.
and then we find our way to the station, the airport, last beer.
Well, there's that. That's what I'm setting up when I get home. Yeah. I'm resetting up.
Het was nog allemaal aan het opnemen. Huh? Het was nog aan het opnemen.